not really a pre-show, but this is what we're doing for this week. We are interviewing Leamare, who has been graciously providing us with a lot of background insight on his website, spectral.gg, which Valve uses for a lot of the statistics that they pull up in their tournaments these days. He puts a lot of time and effort into it and has been very happy to share with us how everything works. And so we thought we'd do an interview with him. You want to say hi, Leamare? Or how do you
I,
pronounce it correctly?
you pronounced it right.
Okay, never
Yeah.
mind. Yeah,
The
I
best
want.
way to put it is just type it into Google Translate and click the button to say it for you. That's I think that's the correct pronunciation.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was Leamare,
Yeah.
Lemaire. But so cool. I'm glad we were saying it right.
Okay. So we'll just start with a couple of questions. So how did you initially start this project? You know, like what pushed you into it? How did you, I mean, obviously you have an interest in Dota, but you know, what was kind of like the impetus and how did you follow
Right.
through with it?
It's actually a funny story. The reason why it sticks to playing Dota to begin with was Dota buff. Believe it or not, I just liked how much data you could pull from the game and fool around and like, find new strats to play with and so on. And as time went, I was starving for content and found Dota subreddit, and I liked a lot of posts with tournament statistics. Usually they were titled like competitive beta trends and tournament name. And I wanted to make such posts myself, so I wanted to make a tool to generate it for me, collect all the stats and so on. And initially, that's how it started. And then there was like a certain caster in Russian crew, Russian language TI stream, who during TI casts, like the biggest tournament, the highest quality stream, and so on, he was pulling numbers out of his ass, and he just made me so angry. So I just published all the reports for all tournaments myself to the public and started using it to provide actually good stats.
So a lot of this is just kind of like personal fancy and being annoyed with Caster.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Oh, that's hilarious. So they were doing it. They were doing it poorly. So you decided to give them a better way to do it.
Yeah, the funny thing is, uh, I wanted to kind of to see Russian community to use it more, and maybe eventually to become something like Russian Nahas or Russian Knoxville. Uh, in the end of the day, Russian community doesn't really use it, and Russian casters only started using started using it in like past 3 months or 6 months or so. Only like two or three people are usually into it.
Oh, that's
Mm-hmm.
interesting. So is it used more in just the English casters, or are there specific languages or regions that use it more?
Uh, yeah, no, well, pretty much English, but because I have only English, Russian, and Portuguese, I guess, translations. There's also Ukrainian, but there are like three Ukrainian users at max throughout 6 months or so. Uh, Most people are just using English.
Huh.
So I guess it's mostly English casters and English speaking players.
Do you
Throughout
get
Russian community, like most people are sticking to English language on the site as well. So
in
yeah,
terms of like contact through the website for like opportunities and stuff? So you're mainly getting like English, because I don't know, like, are people like emailing you? How to like get in contact to like use it in a professional space or like to provide ideas or something?
uh, the first contact went through Twitter DMs, and one person contacted me through Discord DMs, and that's about it. But they asked for my email, and I think they shared my email with other like uh, tournament organizers and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So
And
everything else
what
went
sort
through
of
it.
So what sort of tournaments have you been featured in thus far? Or just like
Um,
around the board?
the thing is, there were like a couple of tournaments I was working behind the scenes, but I wasn't mentioned anywhere, or I was working with casters, but I wasn't working on the production side. So officially with production and so on, I was working at TI10. It was my first tournament. Then TI11 and the PC season for PGL, covering Western Europe, North America, and China.
That sounds
But
like
only
the exciting
first
way
two
for a
tours.
hobby to go.
Yeah.
I
Um, um, Aside from that, I also had some experience helping out or working with casters or stuff like that during Omega League, some ESL tournaments and majors.
so at
Most of
this
the
point,
majors.
you're pretty involved in like everything across the board for like and how does this turn out in terms of like business arrangements or stuff? It's mainly just like you provide extra information on like how to run through the statistics, how to explain them, or um
Uh, I guess I provide ways to pull some data that I collect. I collect a lot of data and even more than you can see on the main website, I guess. There are like tools for teams, for example, or for tournament organizers, and for production that are not really public yet. And I can't really make them public for multiple reasons, but I can give access to them to uh, production or to teams. And my job is basically providing the data, making reports and setting up collection of data basically, and also providing tech support. Aside
mm.
from that, I communicate with customers. I give them like daily sheets with all the useful information and stuff like that.
Sounds
I
like
also
based on the tournament season, you can actually get pretty busy with this then.
uh, kind of, but I try to automate as much as I can. So basically, a lot of things are automated, but even if they're automated, I still try to check things to be more or less consistent and like make sense for casters.
Hmm. And so, like in terms of like Valve, like has Valve directly worked with you, or is this mainly like working with casters and production teams? Like, 'cause I mean,
Uh,
I guess it would be hard to like define when it becomes officially Valve, but are like Valve employees coming to you with offers and
uh,
stuff? To...
one um, one note to previous points. One thing I do most of the time is basically working on these tools I have and adding more functionality and also working on things that automate all of that. So while I'm not really busy with providing data and APIs and information to production, I'm more busy with actually making tools and making things for teams and for tournaments,
So just more.
which will be, yeah, yeah.
And do you
And
have like a statistics or sort of data processing background? Like for because I mean you're making a lot of like quite well organized, you know, artistic because the metagraph is like very it's an interesting way of like providing information. So I'm assuming you have some sort of background in like graphic design and stuff
um,
like that that's informative.
um, uh, I'll get back quickly to previous points
Yeah.
about Valve. They actually contacted me, and I worked with them directly. I contacted Valve employees, but I don't really work with them as much as one could think. I work. Uh, it basically comes down to, hey, can you help us work during this tournament? I say yes. I provide data. We never talk again until the next time.
So it's pretty one off. Okay.
Uh, Well, at least I don't try to communicate. I heard
Yeah.
that some people at Valve are actually using my data for some game balance and stuff and so on, but I can't really prove it. I haven't seen it myself,
So
so yeah.
you're telling us that you're affecting the meta.
Uh, I
Wonderful.
can maybe I can. I don't know. Uh, but they also, I think they have their own like inside tools.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But I heard that in some ways they're not as convenient, and also one of the main reasons why I still collect a lot of data and try to work with them. I love to do like research stuff using this data, and eventually I come up with new tools and new kind of data which is not really available anywhere else usually. And
It
and going back to question about like uh, my background in terms of working with data and stuff like that, I started making all this while I was uh, in my university, and my I don't know how to call it. My
yeah.
specialization was software engineering, not really data processing or stuff like that. Uh, and also, most of my time at university, I was basically playing Dota and being depressed.
Very common
uh,
for a Dota player.
yeah, but after I graduated, I went to masters and I switched my specialty to data analysis actually. But it was away in the future after I
Yeah.
started making uh, data tools.
Mm-hmm. I would imagine. So, a lot of that. So, I mean, honestly, what you're telling us is mainly like this is just a passion project that's become something you didn't really expect. How does that feel, I guess? I mean, good.
When,
Like whenever, because you send us a fair amount of stuff before every week. I feel a lot of, I guess, passion when you text me, which is it's nice to see. You know.
the thing is, I mentioned being like playing Dota and being depressed, not knowing what to do in my life.
Yeah.
Uh, Working on this kind of stuff, uh, first of all, gave me some kind of kind of purpose, and then basically made me chill. Uh, so I basically like if I would play Dota back in 2017, I would probably get mad at everyone during my games and just be upset and
And
play at
how long have you
20
actually
pubs.
been working on Spectral now? Or because TI-10, so at least 2020, right?
Yeah, I started working on it in, at the end of 2017, I guess.
Oh, 2013.
17, 17.
Oh, okay. All right, I misheard you. It's like, damn, yeah, that's very long. Um, okay, so hmm, that's that's a lot of years of development at this point.
Yeah,
And now you don't hate
with all
Dota.
Uh, with all its was kind of made and achieved and like that sort of stuff. I
Hmm.
just don't feel like I need to prove anything to anyone, and I kind of feel just pure enjoyment from playing this game, regardless of if I win, lose, or uh, whatever happens in the game. So I just don't get mad.
I believe what the Western meditation kiddies call that is mindfulness. Congratulations, you've achieved a state of pure zen and bliss.
Uh,
Very impossible in Dota.
Thank you. The biggest problem is because of that, I started playing way less. So, like, at some point, my peak MMR was about 7k, and now I don't feel comfortable playing at 4k even because I haven't played in the like 3 years anything but turbo.
I what a I mean, if you're enjoying the game, that's a completely different thing. I mean, a lot of casters absolutely suck at the game at this point because they enjoy producing the game more than they do playing. So I think
Yeah.
that's a pretty common story. I'd definitely say like I was hounding Dota for a while, pushing it like to get really good, and I did. and then I just kind of got sick of it because it became all about grind.
Yeah, the thing is, it's not really that I don't enjoy playing the game. It's just I don't really have time for it, and I try to fix it. So when I was talking to Regas at some point, when I treated him for pizza with Ajika, he asked me to mention this specifically. Uh, he asked me to play at Midwest League with them, with their team, and uh, I saw it as an opportunity to practice Dota more and just start playing more again to get like, back in shape. So that's how I ended up here.
And so and Degaz works on the project with you a little bit, right? Because he
Uh,
was the first one that was actually telling us about your website and everything.
uh, I wouldn't say he works necessarily, but he started basically as a passionate fan, but he gives a lot of suggestions. He helps with like pushing things to the public, and he wants to join on developing things eventually. But my code is so shit because it's so old and it wasn't intended to be used like that. So until I make it more usable and upgradable for others, he can't really help me.
Oh, I see.
But he knows his jam and he uses like my APIs and stuff like that to make some content of
So
his own.
currently a little bit of a personal cheerleader. Shout out to you, Degaz. You've been you. I mean, in the main part of why we're having this interview is as a result of Degaz mentioning everything to us and shouting you out. So you know, you gave him pizza for that, right? I remember him mentioning you paid him in pizza.
Uh, I I gave him pizza because he's a friend of mine, but I guess you could see it this way.
Okay, well he specifically said it was for this. And so jumping forward, Breaker, do you have anything you want to add before I?
Yeah, so thinking
Mhm.
back to an earlier part of the interview, you mentioned that Valve has used some of these stats to possibly shape the meta. It's not a confirmed thing, but it's a probable thing. That's really cool to hear because Valve is very kind of closed off about what all of they use to determine how they tweak the game and what they're doing in the future. So that is really cool to see that they're using, data created by the community members to help influence, I guess, the future of the game. One question I was gonna ask is, so now that you've been playing the Midwest Dota 2 League with us for, I think last season was your guys' first season. Have you started playing the game more, like enjoying the game more? Or I know you mentioned you got really into all the stats and stopped playing less and played a ton of turbo, but have you started enjoying the game more, or is it still more of a job to do all the stat stuff?
Uh, I didn't really enjoy game less at any point really, so I didn't get to enjoy it even more because I already enjoyed it a lot. It's more like I is the best Dota I enjoy is playing Dota with a team, like five stack, queuing five stack, or playing against other teams and stuff like that. And usually working with like some kind of team or playing pubs, you don't really get to experience this as much. And last time I played uh, actively on with like five stack was a long time ago. Eventually, all my friends who played Dota just stopped playing, and all my new Dota friends were uh, just players from pro teams or casters. And Midwest League, yeah, is like a way for me to enjoy playing in a five stack in a way.
Look at you, Mr. Popular.
That is cool though. I'm glad that we're able to with some of these amateur leagues. I'm glad we're able to bring some of that enjoyment because that's kind of the same reason I play it. Is I really do enjoy playing with people and somewhat of an organized environment, but I'm definitely not good enough to strive for some of the higher leagues.
Are any of us?
We've had a couple people from MD2L that have gone on to play, say at least open qualifiers for the Div 2 DPC, and I think there might have been one or two players that have made the DPC after us, but I don't know for sure.
Mm. I would rather just enjoy the game at this point than push myself any harder.
Yeah, I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, well, Tony, I think that covered all of the questions I had. Do you have anything else you wanted to add?
Just like as a preview for what you've got coming up next, do you have any categories or anything that you're working on stats wise for the website that you're
I
excited
have
about?
I have a lot.
Okay.
All right, starting with skill builds stats to upgrade my builds section and add some flavor for ability draft stats. Ending up with starting items, consumables stats, um, talent stats. Power spikes is an idea I was playing around a bit with, but I'm not really sure how to make it work for now. But I'm working on it. Words statistics and words preview for statistics, but it's quite far away for now. And also something like matchup finder, like you can find immortal games for a specific hero against specific hero in a specific lane, or a hero with specific item, specific builds, and stats for that, like win rates and so on.
That would be nice. I can't tell you the amount of replays I go through at times when I'm trying to figure out how a hero works. Specific, like some really stupid interaction I'm only going to see in an Immortal game, though. So, nice to see in that regard. Well, I think that's all for now. Any shout outs you want to give for the MD2L community?
Uh, I'd give a shout out to Degas, I guess, and his brother. Also to Mr. D. He was giving me replays for games which were not ticketed recently. And to Math Magician, who was playing in this league as well. And I was talking to him a while ago. Like, I think he's a caster and was casting some DPC matches as well,
Yeah, he
but I'm not
does.
entirely sure.
He was doing a lot of South American Division 1 DPC, I think last season, if I remember correctly. So, but yeah, well, awesome. Well, we appreciate all of the time that you took today to take this interview with us, and we're sure the community is gonna love this. And I gotta say, as one final closing statement, I took a little bit of a dive into some of the other stats beyond like just the MD2L piece of this website. And holy cow, this is a lot of data. No wonder Valve likes this. There's just more data everywhere I look here. This is amazing.
Yeah, all the subcategories, man. I get lost on the website pretty frequently.
But all right, well, we appreciate Lemire. Thank you for all the time today, and have an enjoyable rest of the day. And hopefully, I get to play you maybe in the upcoming playoffs here from D12.
Thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.
All right, take care, man.
See ya.